All right. Woo! So welcome to the first edition of Arts Late Night. I am here. My name is Kyle. I'm joined by Talal, Laure, and Jack, and Kyle.
It's a thing. Let's go with it.
It's a thing. All right. So yeah, let's just kick things off. Let's go for it. See what happens.
Okay. So hopefully our first talking point of the show is we wanted to hand over to you to talk to us about privatisation, which is one of the stories that you've been working on for the week. So, what have you found out about that sort of story?
Wait, I'm not sure I know my story by heart.
Okay.
I took my article in case I forget anything. No, I'm kidding. So yeah, I've been...
No, you're not.
No, I just there's this name of this MP. It's always slipped out of my mind. In case Jack wants to help me out with his name.
I don't know any MP.
How many MPs do you have to worry about?
There are 3 MP I want to talk about, and then there is...
Okay, well let's go through the story. Sorry.
Yeah, so basically the UL students were protesting last week with the Goldsmith students against the privatisation of student loans. Basically, what does it mean for us? It means all the students who took a loan before 2012 might see the interest rate go higher, and they're probably gonna have to pay for longer because the government was recommended by a bank, the Rothschild Bank, investment bank, to bank.
What the hell are you laughing at?
Well, anyway.
Okay, so the thing was, there were all these issues. There were a list of issues, things that people were worried about when it comes to privatizing their student loans.
Yeah, the thing that I read about that was it was the reason that they want to do it is the government is obviously trying to make money from student loans. In the past, that the majority of student debt goes unpaid, because obviously there's a lot of ways out where students not to pay. So in order to make the loans more attractive to private investors, they propose to say, well, we'll lift the caps on interest rates.
Yeah, what they call sweeteners. They're going to sweeten the deals.
Yeah, they're going to. Yeah, exactly. Sweeten. That's exactly the point. So that's why that story of interest rates goes up, is the saying that is to entice private investors to take on the debt from the government by allowing them to allocate their own interest rates. And obviously the uncertainty is how high will they allow the interest rates to go. And has that been found out, or is that still unseen?
No, the really interesting point being there is the government, especially the Conservative Party and the Liberal Democrat, have been saying that the contract is not going to change. So basically, if you sign a contract saying that the interest is going to be that high, it's not going to change. But truth is, no one can know. You're not going to know what the private buyer is going to do. And the interesting point for them is to actually make you pay the loan, rather than in England, if after a certain amount of time you're not earning, is it 22,000 grand a year?
It's around there, yeah.
So if you're never earning more that amount, for 15 years, you're not entitled to pay your loan.
Yeah, it gets wiped off. Yeah.
Yeah, which is very likely to change. So you have this part of it.
Is that a bad thing though?
It's not a bad thing.
I mean, that's kind of a weird law to begin with.
No, but it's a good law.
But you sign for it. It means it change it. Imagine that you sign you just sign a contract, and then someone change the term, but you sign for something different. And this is when
that's the scary part to me.
Yeah.
But to what extent is it just people? Because I was there at the protest, and everybody was a bit riled up, so on and so forth.
So what was the protest for? We haven't covered that.
Yes, yeah. So there was a protest organized, like you said, by UIL and Goldsmith students at Simon Hughes' office. Simon Hughes being the Liberal Democrat MP for Borough and Southwark, if I'm correct. I'm pretty sure. Bermondsey and Southwark. Sorry, I'm new to this area. But yeah, they just went and sort of pounded on his office.
And what was his involvement in the story?
He's at the moment not really clear on his position.
Okay.
But the thing is, people are suspecting Lib Dems for being kind of on either side. They're a bit on the fence. So if you can convince one or two of them to switch, then it might cause a domino effect.
Okay. Motion, because the organization, such as, this is where my notes are going to be useful. It's a national campaign against fees and cuts managed to lobbies again, few MP for them to sign what we call an early motion, which brings to debate a bill into the House of Commons. So they manage that, which is quite rare actually, and it is really good, but it doesn't change anything. But it is still a way of pressuring the governments and to show that a lot of people and a lot of representatives of the state, such as MP, disagree with how the government is planning to act.
And what could that change? Do you think ultimately that could completely turn over the bill? Or?
I think it's going to go through. I'm sure it's going to go through. The government needs money, and the plan has been confirmed. And it's not a bill, it's a plan, or it's an economic plan, and it has been confirmed. And last week there were what, 30 students, no more, half of them was the media.
Mm-hmm.
So what's gonna happen? First of all, very few students heard about it, because it's all you can read is kind of complicated, and what the student needs to know is what you've signed off is not what you're gonna get.
So one of the problems is just communication.
Isn't it? Yeah.
Do you think that's one of the bigger problems, or do you think people are genuinely scared that things are gonna change?
I think funnily enough, the media hasn't covered the story much.
Okay.
So how about the flip side of it though? The idea of, so one of the biggest scares is that students obviously taking out loans in that period will be subject to interest rates being set by private companies, right?
Yeah.
So the flip side of that is, what if the interest rates are incredibly minimal? So does that sort of, I mean, because we don't know how far the interest rates, do you think that's likely? Do you think that's possible, that they'll be actually very minimal, they'll be minimal enough for students not to need to worry about?
I don't have the knowledge to answer to that question, but I think as having run as a subject and having tried
since the protest is there, they're not expecting it to be minimal at all.
But can we at least anticipate that though? That is a possibility, right?
That's the thing. I think that's such a slim possibility.
Put it that way. Why a private company would buy a loan is they got to the point if you make an investment is because you expect benefits. And if you expect benefits, the only way they can expect why the government is selling it is because if the government were changing the contract, the entire country would be in the street. After what happened with the raise of the fees, the entire country would be in the street. But if the government sell the student loan books to private investors, they're not responsible for it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
If the interest got higher, the private company are going to be responsible.
So you do think it's very likely that the interest rates will go higher?
It's just, two and two make four. That's why we say in French.
Okay.
So it just sounds like a logical issue, really.